Carlos Nelson with What's Up Kansas City. And today we have the Mayor Pro Tem of Kansas City, Mr. Kevin McManus. How you doing, Kevin?
I'm great, Carlos. Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure having you on the show. Hey, Kevin, first of all, as I talked to you off camera, I said, go back to kindergarten,
Okay.
talk about who you are, basically, what schools you went to, some of the mentors that helped you become who you are today. Let our audience know who you are.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And thanks again for having me. I'm, born and raised actually in the district I represent. So my parents, our first house, it was 66th and Cherry. I used to walk to this grade school I went to, St. Peter's off Holmes. Some folks may know where that is. I think you were doing a little background check on me before this interview is what you were telling me offline. And I think you came across one of my classmates' parents, Akil Bacchus was a friend of mine from all the way back. And Ken Bacchus was obviously a council member and had such an important role in the city. And I know you know him well. And I still see him all the time because I'm a lawyer too, and I have a law office downtown. And we work in the same building, so we often cross paths in the elevator. And he gives me his advice, so that's a relationship that started, when I was probably 6-7 years old.
That's what he told me, and I couldn't. Yeah. I was like, how you know this guy McManus? Now you bringing it back how he knows you. He said, yeah. I was like, how would you know him and he's in grade school or high school? He said, his son. Right. You
know what? I just remembered this story. This came to me because I went to high school with him too. So just kind of carry it forward. I went to Rockers High School locally, and Akil was in my high school class. And as part of our government civics class, we had to interview somebody. And since Akil's dad, we knew him, I called him, and I was like, I think he was on the city council or maybe just coming off the city council at the time.
So what year was you in Rockers?
In the early 90s.
Because my nephew, Leon Harden, went to Rockhurst, played tennis for him.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't that good at sports, so I played basketball a little bit, but yeah, I started playing. The whole basketball story is a whole nother thing. I started, I was tall when I was young, and then I stopped growing, and so I became the,
Did you try out for the team?
Oh yeah, I played freshman and sophomore year, and
under
was
mainly that's mom.
Oh no, it was a prior coach. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah. But anyway, to go back, so I remember this conversation, and I'm sure Mr. Bacchus doesn't remember this at all. But I called him and I said, because I was interested at the time, I was doing well in like science. I was thinking maybe I should go into medicine or something, right? I want to help people, and that's a profession. It's a good profession. It's going to be hard, but maybe it's something I should do. So I was thinking about that, and then I was also thinking, at the time I had always been interested in just like not politics, but more like service, right? Community service, because I was born and raised in Kansas City. I love Kansas City. I wanted to make Kansas City better. So I was interested in what he was doing on the city council. So I said to him, we talked about his role, what he was working on, some of the issues at the time. And I can't remember all of them, but I remember this part of the conversation because he said, well, what do you want to be, young man, when you grow up? And I said, well, right now I'm kind of thinking maybe between medical school or maybe I'll follow your footsteps someday. And this is like when I'm probably like 13 years old, I had no idea what I was talking about. And I said, maybe someday. I didn't even mean like run for city council. I really meant like doing something in community service, public service. And so I'll never forget this. He said, I think you should go to medical school.
And now you know why.
Yeah. I think at the time, I need to kid with him because I don't want to, downplay all what he did for the city and really this role and how important it is. But I think he recognized how difficult a job it can be, right? And I think about that too. I mean, we signed up for these jobs, so I'm not complaining. This is something I love to do. I love what I get to do. It's an honor to do it.
Who's some of your mentors?
Go
ahead.
Yeah, gosh, like going back to, I mean,
let's say who was the first who was the first person that you really got attached to in the educational system?
So I had a science teacher who was also my basketball coach, and
give him props.
Bob Jacobson. Akil was on my team. We had to wear ties to our games, and this is like, you know, your 6th, 7th grade.
I already know. I'm a Bobby Knight type. Get that blue blazer on and that tie and get on the bus.
I mean, it was crazy. You know, for us kids, we didn't know how to tie a tie, but it taught us, you know, to think about how you project yourself, right? And to have confidence in yourself and to believe in yourself and your team, right? And, you know, I now have 2 little boys, and, you know, they're not that age and they're not wearing ties. But, you know, I think about how important sports is in developing character in our young people. And it's not even about whether you're going to play sports when you get older. And I didn't realize it at the time, but it's really about developing confidence in who you are and what you can achieve and what you can achieve together. And to me, like, that's something that struck me. I didn't even know it was striking me at the time, but it hit my core. And now that I'm a father and I get to like go to my kids' soccer games or whatever, I see it too, which is cool, you know? And, you know, in this time of COVID, not to get all on this, but like, it's been kind of sad as a sports fan to like see kind of how that's affected everything. But like, sports is still what unites us, you know? I mean, it's still what kind of keeps us together, even in times of really difficult, you know, period of time in our country's history and our, you know, so I don't know. That's a long answer to your question.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I think you pinned the tail on the donkey, bro. That Charlie Rose, you know who he is?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So about 10 years ago, maybe even a little longer, he brought the top 10 CEOs in the nation on. And you know what the subject was? All of them had played sports. And just what you said, that was the whole conversation. How sports teaches you all these lessons. You see guys that were scrubs turn into champions. You see champions can't deal with other champions and they fall back in confidence. I'm saying, you know, it's like when sports and like when I pledged my fraternity back in the day when they really hurt you, I seen weak guys get strong and I seen strong guys get weak. And those are lessons that there's a common thread in life and everything that you do that you learn from that. The thing
overcoming adversity. I mean, it's key to everything. And knowing how to lose, you know, and lose with dignity in a game.
All right, let me tell you this, McManus. I took you to the sports channel. So I'm working with the Kansas City School District, just sent them something. My brother-in-law, Leon Harden, was senior vice president at Southwestern Bell, and he's passed. He was on the crime commission also. And he played for the Green Bay Packers, went to Southeast. He was Lombardi's last pick before he left Green Bay. And Leon died about 2 or 3 years ago. Best man I ever knew. And in his honor, every IL school, all the sports, Cascade Sports is giving a award out, the Leon Harden Sportsmanship Award. Not the best athlete. Sportsmanship in wrestling and all the sports in the IL. And I'm doing it this year, and then we're paying for it, and then I'm going to be looking for corporate sponsorship to make this perpetuity for at least 10 years, because the emphasis on what's really important has been taken off. And when I had talked to one of the coaches, I said, well, I'm not going to mention this, but they were saying, no, give it to the best athlete. He said, no, Mr. Nelson, you had it right, sportsman. He said, my best athlete is not my best person. And the attitudes and all of that. And they appreciate it. So tying into what you were saying, this is, you want to serve, and you want to serve your community, the whole community. And these are, what I try to tell my people, you got to make financial sacrifices when you want to see what you want done in your community. You can't expect other people. You can, but then when they start telling you to dance to the tune, then you want to have an attitude. Please.
Right.
Yeah. Let's move, because you're gonna be coming on more. Tell the people why you did the city manager. Why you voted for this kid.
You know, so that was a long process. We interviewed 4 really good candidates. The thing that I thought was persuasive about Brian Platt was, in my mind, well, first off, let me tell you, I kind of came at him with some skepticism at first, because you know, I'm not that old, but he's younger than me. And I don't want to sound ageist or whatnot, but really it comes down to experience, right? And so that was a question that I had for him. And in fact, I mean, really, when we were picking our top 4, he wasn't on my original list. The mayor, I think, was very interested in his background, because he came from, you know, Jersey City, one of the most diverse cities in the country. And then he also had experience, you know, in innovation, and kind of trying to find some new solutions. And so I thought that was interesting, those 2 elements. When he came and spoke and gave an interview that we were able to ask him questions, I thought his answers were out of the box, willing to challenge the status quo, so much so that I became much more persuaded, right, in that process. And, you know, that in particular, I'll just say, going back to challenging the status quo, there was one question in particular I won't forget, where I think Catherine Shields asked him, you know, we're doing across the board cuts to meet our budget obligations in COVID. You know, our budget's down, and we're suggesting across the board, every department give up X%, and we're going to do it again. And so, you know, how would you deal with these issues? And he challenged actually even the assumption that every department should be treated equally, that maybe there's, you know, different ways to be looking at this than just kind of a cookie cutter, everybody gets the same axe. And to me, not was it just a, you know, nothing against Catherine Shields. I'm a big fan of Catherine, but he was willing to suggest.
Hey man, heck with Catherine and all of them. The bottom line that I done heard from you white guys and white women that it wasn't race. The major thing was the kid was ready for innovation and
that's right.
Thought out the box. And when I tell my constituents this, I'm like, you don't understand what they're saying. The talking head said Sprint Center would never work without an anchor tenant. Got to have a basketball team, hockey team. But whoever took a new approach, right. And Sprint Center wanted to financially doing, at least that when that article came out, I don't know how they're doing now, but having taken a new approach to these problems is the problem, that we keep taking the same approaches to everything.
We can't keep doing the same thing. You're right, 100%. I mean, that's what it came down to me. That was the most persuasive thing, was I want somebody who's going to challenge the status quo. And, you know, we can talk about race. Race is critically important. We're going to hire now. Yesterday, we passed an ordinance, which council unanimously supported, to have our first chief equity officer, a high level position.
Oh, so they Rainer Park Shaw.
Yeah, and Councilmember Robinson. That went through, passed unanimously.
Did you have anything to do with it? Did you? Because I know.
I support it.
All right.
All the way through. We heard it in finance, and we advanced it, and it passed yesterday. So it actually moved very quickly.
Hey, Kevin, we get ready to get on the real quick, because I got to meet Drew for lunch.
Yeah. No, that's all right.
But it's not all right, because there's many things my community wants. So have your aide get back with me.
Lunch is important. Yeah.
Yeah. But, man, I'm going to talk business. Hey, Kevin, tell the community quick step. What's important for you for the next 6 months?
So we touched on this a little bit already, but we talked about COVID, the budget. This morning I had a virtual meeting with Representative Sharp, my colleague Councilwoman Boo, others in South Kansas City, talking about our legislative priorities. I think it's going to be critical, Carlos, that we have and are communicating our priorities to the federal level with the new administration to make sure that they know what's important to us, so that we can, whether it's housing assistance, whether it's economic assistance, whether it's healthcare assistance, there will be a new stimulus. There will be a new infrastructure package. There will be a new CARES Act funding. We want those funds to flow directly to the city in a way that's equitable so that it can be distributed, whether it's the vaccine, whether it's helping us meet some of these additional burdens that frankly are falling on the city to address the pandemic and the economic outfall of it. So to me, that is the biggest issue in the next 6 months. And I'm excited that we have a new administration because frankly, I feel like we haven't had leadership at the top. I think it's going to be a real opportunity for us, with Congressman Cleaver.
Cut you off again real quick.
Yeah.
What the hell is Quinton doing and how do you give him his rating? 1 to 10.
Look, nobody, everybody was running for these positions, nobody talked about a pandemic and nobody talked about what we're dealing with right now. This is unprecedented. And he's doing, I think, a very good job given some very challenging times. The proof will be in the pudding. We are just starting, right? We've got almost 3 years left in this term. There's a lot that needs to be done. And this is going to be, I think, a very challenging. 1 to 10, I give him an 8.
All right, damn, me and you on the same page.
But he's got, look, it's not over yet.
Oh, no, let me tell you this. I'm on his butt because he has canceled interviews with Cascade Media Group, and I'm telling you why I'm on his butt. And I've said to him, I see your lips moving, but you know what? I've talked to you 100 times about, how about doing an exclusive with the Black media station where the other people have to come? That's economics. And the other thing that I'm disenfranchised, he has canceled meetings with other community leaders. And being on the internet, showing you everywhere, doing everything, that's great. But I want to challenge some of that. And that's how business has been done throughout America. A clamp on employees, don't say nothing, and we're doing all of this. That's how Trump got in office. And I'm not having that. I applaud you for what you've done, but don't follow that pattern and think that you can use the media, the mainstream media, to put a position out and nobody can examine that position from the community. And you don't want to come on a show like ours from how I see it. Doesn't necessarily, remember how I told you I thought about you? Doesn't necessarily have to be that, but you don't cancel 5 or 6 interviews. Plus, I had told his aide, I said, every time I do an interview, I put a fresh tie and a fresh shirt on. And I said, I'm a small business and you don't even have no concern for that. And so I'm gonna talk about that. And don't say you're for the community. And I say this to my people, if you can't come on and talk about it, that's not right.
Right.
And so, but overall, Quinton's doing I'm saying Quinton Lucas is a breath of fresh damn air. But your drawers stink too, Quinton. So I'm proud of him. Do you hear me? Young Black man, look like he got a political career ahead of him. Because he understands the tools that are necessary and he's able to bring people together.
Absolutely.
And he's intellectually capable. So after that little rant,
I love it.
Man, that's the only thing. I don't have no vote, but I got this megaphone, so
you do, and I gotta use it. You can use it.
Yeah,
you can use it.
Yeah. So, Kevin, what you want to say to your constituents before we get off here?
Hang in there. The next couple months are going to be tough, I think, with COVID. But let us know what we can do to help. I think we as a council are going to work together and we're going to get through this. And I'm just excited to be here. I want to thank you for the invitation. I'm sorry it took a little time for us to get together.
That's all right.
Hey, I really enjoyed the stuff off camera because I learned a lot, and I appreciate what you're doing and what your companies are doing to help make Kansas City a better place.
All right. And remember, our network is open to you and your constituents, because you might say, Mr. Nelson, this guy in my district, he need a little help Can you bring him on and interview him, get him a little more exposure, a little more business?
Yeah.
It's all about economics. And I'm making it. So I say a lot of this on the air. So a white council or black councilman can't say, oh, Ms. Nelson not going to work with you. No, Ms. Nelson going to work with you and your community.
Right.
All right.
I appreciate you.
And important, I have to steal. I try to make my other interviewer mad. I'm stealing Jim Watts' lines tonight. Jim always closes with, "It's a plum pleasing pleasure to have you on the show tonight." But Jim, I'm using my closing, and you better not try to steal it. When you invest in your community, you're really just investing in yourself. Good night.
The program is brought to you by the Kansas City Business Association.